This program is brought to you by Connie Dodo of Connie Dodo Realty Group, 119 Pleasant Street, Methuen. When you want results, don't make a move without us.
Welcome to Dodo Real Estate View. As you know, many viewers call us and tell us what topics they'd like to hear on the show. One topic that people had talked about is understanding what is public TV and how do you produce a TV show such as this. So we brought in one of the experts here, Michelle Houle, who's the coordinator for membership, and she's an expert. She's actually one who brought me in to do the show, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Michelle.
Well, thank you for having me on. I don't know about expert, but we'll go with I might have done it once or twice.
Right. She's been here for 10 years in the program. MTV's been here for...
Methuen Community Television started in 1996. It was an idea that the Cable Advisory Board had put together, and they said, you know, we have this public access channel, let's do something with it. And so they went out and they found some funding, and they got the city to agree to help them out with the funding, because public access stations are funded by your cable bill, and then the money is given to the cities. And they took off, and 18 years later, we're still here. We have over 100 members, and some of those members actually have been with us the whole 18 years.
And when you say members, are those all volunteers? They're a mix?
They're all volunteers.
Wow.
Our lifeblood is the volunteers.
Yeah.
You know, we have 3 paid staff, and everybody else volunteers their time, and they come in and they learn how to use the equipment, and they produce great shows like yours.
How fitting is that? Learn something new, this being almost upon us, the new year, so it's a great opportunity for people to come to the show to get trained and learn a new skill.
Right, and you know, you say, oh, I'm going to learn something new this year. I'm going to go and take a class. I'm going to go take accounting. I'm going to learn to balance my checkbook. I will never balance my checkbook, so I've just given up on it. But my favorite part is our classes are free. As long as you're a Methuen resident over age 16, we don't charge. There's no cost to come in and learn how to use the cameras that the ladies are using right now, the director board, the switcher that people are using. There's no cost for that. The cost, if you want to look at it that way, is sharing your ideas.
Right.
It's you coming in and saying, I want to teach people how to know what they need to look for in a house. I want to show people how to know what to look for landscaping, how to learn about public access. Whatever idea a producer or a host can come up with, we help them put it out there, and it's free.
And I have to say, you do an awesome job. I mean, all the agents from Connie Dodo Realty Group are the ones that man the cameras along with your staff here that assist us, but we were able to pick up that and certainly do it. We've been doing it 3 years now, so it's been wonderful. So I have to say that people feel good about learning a new skill, and like we said, you know, almost a new year upon us, that's a good way to get involved in the community and pick up a skill.
It's a great way, and it doesn't have to be something you do by yourself. A father and son, mother and son. We have a mother and son that are visiting us tonight just to see what we're all about. And that's great. I love seeing families get together, friends. You ladies come in and, you know, you're chatting away, and then I'm pretty sure you all go to dinner afterwards. But it's nice to see families and friends come in, and you're doing something that interests all of you.
Right. And like you said, pick up a new skill. You know, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding on how much of your cable bill actually pays for the public TV and what percentage. So I think if people can really understand what percentage is that.
It's very small. I'm not sure exactly what the percentage number is, but if you look at your cable bill, you'll notice it'll say franchise fee or access fee. Depends on the company. It's usually, I think the max is maybe $4. I think mine is like 79 cents. It's based on how much you're spending per month. So that amount comes back, and then it gets split. It goes to the city, and the city then splits it between public access, educational access, and government access. And we are actually our own entity. So they transfer the money to us, and then we use it to run the operation here. Excuse me. But, you know, when you're looking at $1,000 or $1 person, I should say, times 1,000 people that are subscribing, that's how you're able to get enough to keep a station on the air.
You know, you talk about public access, educational, and government access. You're public,
We are public.
the educational and the government. How does that fall out?
Public access is designed that anybody in the public, residents of the community that are paying, are able to come back in and create whatever they'd like. And that's where your public access comes in. Educational is run through the school department, at least in the case of Methuen. There are some communities that run everything. In Methuen's case, it's separated. Educational is run out of the high school, and they use it as a class. So you have high school kids that are going in and they're learning how to use a camera. They're learning how to direct a show. They're learning how to script a show. And then they're putting it together, and the educational channel gives them an outlet for that. That's actually where I started, was in high school. And I just fell in love with it. So yeah, it was just yesterday. And then the government channel is more designed, that's where you're gonna find your city council meetings, your school committee meetings, zoning board, planning board, things like that are gonna be on your government channel. And they're things that you need to know about as a citizen. And they should be out there for you. But that doesn't mean you always have time to say, oh, it's 7 o'clock on a Monday, I'm gonna run up to City Hall and sit through a meeting. But I can at any time turn on a channel and have that available to me. And they've actually started now that they do video on demand. So you can turn it on your computer and watch it on the channel.
Now,
on
who
the
actually does
website.
the taping? Again, volunteers?
In those cases, the educational classes, it's the students that do the
students, yep.
taping. And in the government, they do have staff that do it for them.
Wow. That's so it's nice how you have the three separated out, and like
Yeah.
you said, the monies get parceled out to all three of them,
Right.
which is a
And
great thing.
I think they keep it pretty fair.
right.
Or at least they try to.
Right. And I know that you have, how many shows are on?
I believe at last count, we were up to, I think, 16 in-house produced shows.
Wow.
And that's not counting the sports, you know, the concerts, the one-time meetings that people might go out and do, author talks, things like that. The 16 shows are just shows like this that have a crew come in, sit down, create a half-hour show and leave. It's not counting the hundreds of hours that people put in doing parades or anything else like that.
Now, if somebody wanted to start their own show, I mean, maybe talk a bit about the process of starting the show, and then we can talk a bit about the whole operation.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's massive.
Yeah, it is. It really is. For 3 little staff members,
It
it really is.
it's overwhelming. I know when we first started doing it, it's like, oh my goodness, we have to get trained in this, and you have to, it's incredible, and it all comes together.
It does, and it always amazes me how it does. It comes out to, I think it comes out to about 24 hours training that each person receives. And all of that's based on what you're interested in. If you walk in and say, I never want to touch a camera, my job is to sit in that chair and talk to you, then that's what we train you for, and you're done in 2 hours. Training-wise, you'll always be learning as you go. But if you come in and say, I want to be the next Steven Spielberg, you may want to take the full 24 and then a little bit extra. So we offer classes starting with hosting, and that's usually the first class people take as an introduction. You know, it's so easy to think you're just sitting here talking for a half hour, but you are coming up with questions off the top of your head. You're basing them on what we're talking about. You have some notes, but probably not 30 minutes worth of notes.
Correct.
So we teach you how to take that conversation and take it in a certain direction. Take it in the direction you want to go. How do you lead your guests? From there, we have studio class, which is what all of you ladies took. And that one we teach you how to run the studio cameras, So we have the people that are behind the cameras. They're learning what the director's talking about when they say a medium shot, a close-up shot, pan, truck, dolly. They're terms that we use every day, but they're not commonplace terms.
They weren't in our vocabulary before we started, for sure.
Most people, they're not. So those are things that we teach you what we mean and what is a good shot. You know, when I take my camera and I point it at something and it's a point and shoot on my iPhone, you're going to find, and I bet you could ask any of you, that your shots probably look a little better than they would have 3 years ago because we've taught you composition. We just didn't call it that. You know, it's not, it always makes me laugh because in a lot of ways, you're learning what I went for 4 years of college. You're learning it in a very abridged version, and then you're practicing it. We teach you to direct. We teach you how to be the person saying which camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, what are we doing? Countdown, do this, do that. And then we also teach you to create your own graphics. And that's your studio orientation class. And that's 4 weeks, 2 hours a week. And your 4th class is actually producing a show. So it's really 3 weeks of training, and boom, your final exam pops up really fast.
That's right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Every show, there's something new that I learn, and I know people behind the cameras, or if they're in the directing, it's something you add to your repertoire, and you can really utilize that in the upcoming show. So it's certainly a daily learning for us. So I think if anybody does want to do a show, I will say that it's an opportunity. You feel good. You learn a lot by bringing in different guests. I mean, it certainly is an eye-opener to hear what people are doing in the community. And a lot of times people will ask us for certain topics, as you know, to say, I want to hear more about this, or, you know, mortgages, or tell me about short sales, whatever the case is, or how to purchase a home, so forth and so on. So, you know, anybody that wants to do a show and learn, it's just incredible. So I think here at MCTV, you do a great job in training. Because if all of us can get trained in it, anybody can get that, you know, coming from the real estate world. But, you know, it's a pretty aggressive, arduous day we have. We put in the long hours, but we were taught and educated to do it. So I believe anybody certainly can pick it up and pursue.
We have a lot of folks that come in here and they say this is their second career. Retirees are really our biggest membership group. And they've had their days as a realtor, or they've had their days as a plumber. And you just don't want to say, okay, well, I'm not a realtor anymore. What do I do with my day?
Right.
And we get people that come in all the time and I want to do this. I want to learn that. And those are the people that eat it up. It's so nice to see. And it's nice to see people like you guys that hopefully this is something you find a little relaxing once you get used to it.
Right.
Like you said, the first few weeks, it's like, you want me to do what?
Right.
And after a while, it's really no different than going to a quilting circle. You know, it's something that you do, and you go, you have fun. It's visiting time. It's social time. And that's really what we're trying for here, is that, yes, you are putting out a product, and you're putting it out in a timely fashion. You know, you're not here for 4 hours to do a half-hour show, hopefully.
Well, at the beginning, if you remember, and that's one thing.
There was once or twice.
It took us a bit at the beginning, and I was the one at fault for that, either, you know, laughing hysterically. Again, you said we were enjoying ourselves, you know, taping. So I would start laughing, and then everybody else would start. So, yeah, it took us a bit, but that's part of it. That's part of the process.
And that's what makes my day better, is that, I mean, we're here till 9 o'clock at night, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And, you know, we have a lot of people say, oh, that must make for a long day. Not going to tell you it doesn't.
Right.
But I don't mind when it's a group of people that are coming in. We see you guys once a month, once every other month. We catch up with each other. Hey, how are things going? And I honestly can say you guys have all become my friends. And yeah, maybe you were my students at first, but it's really become like, if I see you in the community, hey, how you doing? How are things? And that's really, it makes my day go a lot faster.
I'm sure, and in terms of teaching, that's a skill that not everybody has that ability. So you've done that very well with our group, and I see other people that have TV shows that I'm sure you've trained them. Being here 10 years, what did you do prior to?
I actually started in television in '96, right after I graduated from college, and I was working in what they call local origination, which is basically public access with paid commercials. And it's a smaller, hyper-local idea, and it was geared only for Lowell. And we did news. We did a nightly newscast, live, and we covered Lowell, Chelmsford, Tewksbury, Drake, and Billerica.
Wow.
Yeah,
Expand.
it was a long day for those.
Really?
You had 5 communities you were covering, and at 5:30 you sat down and you did a newscast. And hopefully you were done by 6 so that people could watch the bigger newscasts. But I was there 9 years, just about 9 years. And they decided to disband the studio. And then Karen and I happened to be talking, and she invited me to come here, and just never left.
There you go. Lucky her. She was able to keep you here locally, and I know you reside here in Methuen, so that's nice being part of the community.
It's great.
In terms of people having shows, do people sponsor them, or I mean, I know what we do, but certain.
We do have some people that have sponsors. I mean, it's nice that we have funding that comes in through your cable bills, but sometimes you need a little bit more than is planned. Maybe a camera breaks unexpectedly, or, gee, we'd really like new curtains. Nothing is cheap in the technology field. And so that's when we use money from things like that little 15 seconds that people see at the beginning and end of your show, where we use that money gets put into a special fund for things that are needed. And so that, I hope anyway, gives businesses, local businesses, a chance to really participate as well. They may not be producing their own show, but they are getting the word out there that they exist.
Right.
And at the same time, their money is staying in the community that they're servicing.
I know I've had some guests that I've had that we've talked, and some people have said that they wanted to have their own TV show. So I know that that's from them being on the program. They said, you know what, that's a good idea. Why don't I try that? Now, every community has a local TV show?
Almost every community does. Massachusetts is actually one of the most populated in the country with public access stations.